whether you like sport or not, you will not have been able during your life to avoid this bloke, because he's done 8 FIFA World Cups, 3 Rugby World Cups, 2 Olympics, 150 Formula One races, and some of the biggest boxing bouts we ever saw going back a couple of years. Delighted to have as my guest on Talking Pints someone that I've grown up with, Jim Rosenthal.
Well,
Jim.
cheers. Well, cheers. Thank you very much. That's my lifetime dismissed in about 9 seconds, isn't it?
I don't think they're bad achievements. I mean, kind of, getting into sports journalism, being around for basically half a century.
Yes,
and, I'm a sports nut. I love sports, all sports. I'm fascinated by them. Whether it's suddenly a 16-year-old Luke Littler, or whether it's me being up at ridiculous o'clock this morning.
Congratulations on that, by the way.
The cricket,
getting up at...
Good. But even if you don't like sport, you can't really avoid it. It's such a huge part.
I think I've been very fortunate in that I've always loved sport. And I found something that I could translate my love of it into putting shoes on the boys' feet, to put it that way.
How does Oxford lad, Jim Rosenthal, how does he happen into radio, television, sport? How does it happen?
Well, I mean, I did what I would say was a great apprenticeship, and I started right at the bottom. Local paper for 4 years, doing my shorthand and doing the court reporting and doing
real journalism.
All that. Well, real journalism probably. And then I did 4 years there, and I went to local radio in Birmingham, Radio Birmingham, and did another 4 years there. And after a couple of years of that, I sort of realised. In fact, the station master said to me, "You're really good at news, but you're outstanding at sport." And I said, "You're telling me to," and that's what I did.
That's what you wanted to hear as well.
That's what I wanted to hear. I did want to hear that, yeah. And then down to the Radio Sports unit. It was a Radio 2 Sport then. Now it was Radio 5.
Yeah,
5
Live.
4 years there, and then ITV came calling in about 1980. And I think I stayed with them longer than poor old Nelson Mandela was in jail, to be quite honest. Did about 32 years with them, and so it's a good old stretch.
No,
really.
You had an amazing...
good stretch.
But of course, in those days, I guess I'm showing my age, but you could turn on the telly, and you kind of knew that on One or ITV, we'd see Dickie Davis or whatever it was, and then Channel 4 comes along and does horse racing, did it rather well, I thought, in the early days. I really rather enjoyed it. And it was all free. Well, you had to pay a BBC licence fee, but it was essentially... Now, I've got Sky Sports, but of course I can't watch the Test match on Sky Sports. No. I have to pay for another subscription. I want to watch a big boxing bout. It's going to cost 18 quid or whatever it is. I want to watch the darts final. It's going to cost a tenner or whatever it is. And we're suddenly seeing, if you want to watch live sport, you now need multiple subscriptions to do it. It's not very fair on those without much money,
is
it?
No, it isn't. But it is market forces, and it's the way things have gone. And I say, if you are a sports lover, you won't be very well served by terrestrial television.
It's gone, isn't it?
It's gone. It pretty much, to all intents and purposes, has been priced out of live sports coverage. And it's quite... I operated in an era when it was still alive and kicking. Very much so. And listen, the BBC say we can't afford it. The BBC have got a tap that never stops, never gets turned off, to the tune of £5 billion a year. Don't say you can't afford it. Say you're going to put it elsewhere.
Yeah. But I wonder, you see, because I think, football benefits from terrestrial TV. I think the other sports suffer a little bit.
They do. I mean, boxing is a sport that I did a huge amount of on terrestrial television. People either like boxing or they don't. Who knows? Someone else might go, "I hate it," and I go, "Fine, I'm not going to try and convince you." But and there were, the numbers that turned on, for our on a Saturday night, your Ben and you. I mean, we stopped the country. People came out of dinner parties to watch it, but then. A couple of things happened. Nigel Benn had a fight against a guy called McClellan, and he was put in hospital and damaged for life. And TV executives said, we don't really want that on peak time television. And I could sympathise with that. And then, of course, the money went up. And, just look at the money that everyone's earning comes from Saudi. And you go, we cannot compete with this. Where I think they got it wrong is that they should have done deals early with the satellite broadcast, as opposed to saying we'll blow them out of the sky.
But it's not going back, is it?
No.
It is what it is.
No.
Jim, you've done... This fascinates me because, I've been a huge Test Match Special fan.
Right.
On the radio.
Yeah.
In fact, me appearing on View from the Boundary, one of the highlights of my career.
TMS.
Jonathan Agnew interviewing me, forget winning European elections. This was the big one. Jacob will sympathise with this. Because he's a cricket nut as well.
You're just a little boy at heart, aren't you?
Well, I hope we all are, in a way.
I think that's probably right,
You've done so much telly.
Yeah.
So much radio. Which is your favourite to do?
Well, I mean, radio, I've always been very lucky with my voice. I haven't had a second's voice training in my life, and I've been very, very fortunate with that.
Yeah.
And I think radio made me comfortable in front of a microphone. Your face, what can you do? Yeah, and and
bit of makeup.
Well, what can you do? If people like your face, they like it. If they don't like it, they don't.
Yeah.
And dear old Dickie Davis, who was really good to me when I first went to ITV, and I was doing a heck of a lot, and he said, Jim, the face hasn't been invented that people want to look at all the time, which was a great bit of advice.
Yeah.
Great bit of advice. And are you ever totally comfortable in front of a camera? Well, probably not. Probably not, because, but you have to be yourself. That's the biggest thing. I think if you try and be someone else in front of a camera, the camera finds you out.
Radio is very personal, isn't it?
Very, very good. And I
that
do
relationship with the listeners.
Yes,
television is the same, but
it is.
Radio is very special.
It's easier as well. It's easier.
Yeah. You can turn up looking a bit rotten.
Absolutely.
Now, live commentary. I mean, I do this live, 4 nights a week, and I make the odd mistake. I can't pretend I don't, but I do.
Everyone does. Yeah.
Your worst moment?
My worst moment, I haven't actually dropped that many major ones. I haven't, I mean, someone out there might go, I can remember you when you said so. I've had a rule that whenever I've got one of these on, I am pretty boring, to be quite honest. So I've never been done.
Play it straight.
I've never been done swearing or whatever, and so I've probably been fortunate in that. I mean, another thing, I've broken a rule here tonight because all through my career, I've never ever have a sip of alcohol before I broadcast.
I'm Nigel Farage.
I know you are. So this is the first for me to get a bit of red wine down me tonight. Good on you. Well done.
And when you look,
and I'm still making vague sense, aren't I? Really?
No, you do very well, Jim. When you look at all the sports, and you love a lot of sports.
Yes.
Your favourite?
I think football's always been my backbone for me. Listen, I was lucky enough to present the Rugby World Cup when we won it.
Yeah, fantastic.
Absolutely.
Last minute, Johnny Wilkinson.
Unbelievable
Wow.
night. And again, whether I did it good, bad, or indifferent, I finished that programme and I thought, well, no one can take that away from me. It's a bit like Johnny Wilkinson. No one can take it away from me. No one can take it away from that. I was up front for one of the greatest sporting triumphs that England have ever had across the board.
Yeah.
But I can honestly look you in the eye and say that I've never been bored by anything I've done. I've never actually, and I have shoveled some right old crap in my time, if I'm honest with you. But I've always done it, and I've always given it due deference.
You've always looked like you loved it.
I do love it. There is something about the live broadcasting thing as well.
It's real.
Even here with you in this dungeon,
Thank you.